Hello everybody and welcome back to another My Porch Prints tutorials. This is Kyra and today we are going to be making some birdhouse tags, and this is specifically for the Build Your Stash June Journal Challenge, where we created some prompts for every day of June to help you build your ephemera stash, to help you, create journals with them and have everything on hand. So if you want to join us in this challenge, you can jump in our Facebook group, and everyone is going to be sharing ideas there, and it's going to just be really fun way to craft for the month of June. However, I'm not going to be doing every single project from that list because I don't have time, but we will be doing a few starting with today, June 1st, which is the 3 tags challenge. So let's go ahead and jump right in here. So to start, I've already gone ahead and cut out all of my birdhouses. Some of them have holes punched in them. You can ignore that. That's from a different project that my mom was working on. And this is specifically the Birdhouse Ephemera Tags kit, which I will have linked down below. And I cut out all of the pieces and I'm pairing them up by color. So these ones had like yellow on them, some of them had more blue, some had more pink. So that's how I'm doing mine. You can mix and match them however you want, use whichever ones you'd like. This is just what I did. And then I had 2 left over, and these are going to actually be cut up to make the pockets. So we'll be using sections of these. So set those aside and we will use that as well. Next, we have these faded vintage tags and labels kit that I am going to be pulling a few pieces from. We went ahead and cut these out with our Cricut, and we are going to be using these to make some charms. So to make the charms, you will also need some jump rings and some bulb pins. Again, this is optional. This is just what I'm doing for today's project. And for those charms, I'm also going to be using some buttons. Oops, lost one here. I just grabbed 3, 1 for each tag, and grabbed some that kind of matched the color scheme for each tag as well. And then I'm also going to need some ribbon. So I actually ended up not using these because they were a little too thick and didn't look quite right. So I'll be using some different ribbon here, but just 3 various, 3 different ribbons to use for each of your tags. And then also some cheesecloth here, and this is going to kind of give the illusion of a nest, sort of, is what we're going to kind of be going for here. So you'll want cheesecloth on hand. And we're going to begin by taking 2 tags. I'm starting with my yellow ones here, and we're just going to glue them back to back so that we can hide the white on the inside. So I'm going to be using Fabri-Tac to do that, just going along all of the edges and the center. You could leave it open to make like a tuck spot or a hidden tag of some kind. I'm just going to go ahead and keep things simple today. And if they're not lining up perfect and you have a little bit of white showing, you can just take some scissors and trim that off. And if you have like a little bit of white showing that you can't trim off because it's just so small, I'm going to just go around it with some distress ink in the color Vintage Photo and hide all of those edges and just kind of make everything blend together and look a little more finished. Alright, and this is what it should look like when finished. And now I'm just going to do the exact same thing with my other 2 tags here, the pink one and the blue one. And when they're done, they should look like this. So you can see I've got them done front and back, and I've inked all of the edges here so everything's sort of nice and matchy-matchy. And now all you have to do is decide which side you want to be the front and which you want to be the back. Remember, whichever is the front, the bottom half is going to get covered by a new pocket, so just keep that in mind. And for those new pockets, we're going to go into those 2 leftover tags, and I'm just going to cut out some portions that I think match the tag well. So I'm going to use this piece for the yellow tag, this piece for the pink tag, since it's got some pink roses, and then I'm going to use those as a guide for cutting off some of this tag here for the blue one. So just like that. And now we are going to tear just a small portion of the top of that pocket, just like a sort of messy tear going right along the top here. Not too much, but just a little bit, so it has sort of a rough looking edge. And to help that edge stand out a little bit more, I'm going to be going over it with that Vintage Photo Distress ink, and that's just going to bring out those rough edges a little bit more and make them sort of stand out and pop from the background, like this. And then cutting some of that cheesecloth here, we're going to get a small section of it, and I'm going to pull it apart to make it nice and thin and sort of messy. We want it sort of to have that shredded look to it. We don't want it to be too clean because we're kind of going for a bird nest effect here. And I'm going to cut off some from this piece because if you have too much in the pocket, it might get caught on the ephemera you put in the pocket, so it's better to have a little less actually down in the pocket portion. We want most of it sticking out the top. So taking that Fabri-Tac, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue here along this upper edge on the back of our pocket and then glue down our cheesecloth to it. And if you don't want your fingers to get too sticky, you could use a bone folder or something like that to sort of place things in place. Like maybe you could even use some tweezers or something like that. And then I'm just going to continue to layer up a few pieces of cheesecloth onto that just to make it look nice and layered and messy, you know, like a real bird nest. We're going to try to get in the mind of a bird here. If you wanted to, you could add some twigs or sticks or little things to it to make it look even more realistic. Get as creative as you want. I'm just going to keep things a little simple for now. And this was my first attempt, so it was a little bit thicker than I think I wanted it to be, so the other two pockets I make a little bit less full in the nest, you know, but it's up to you how much you want to add. And then I'm just going to add some glue along the sides and the bottom of the pocket, leaving the top open once the top has fully dried. And we're going to glue it down to our tag like this. And then just trim off any of that pocket that is maybe sticking out of the edges here, clean it up, and go around it with that distress ink as well to make the tag look finished and cohesive. All right, so now that that is done, I'm going to take a hole punch and punch my hole in the top of the tag right up here in this little portion. And I'm going to be adding an eyelet to mine. You don't have to do this, but it does help reinforce that hole so it doesn't rip. And then I'm going to just go ahead and set that in with an eyelet press. And adding some of that ribbon we discussed earlier, this one's a little bit thinner, I just thought it looked nicer. I'm going to fold it in half and thread it through, opening up a little loop here and pulling the little tails through the loop like this to secure it. And then I'm going to tie those ends in a little bow at the top just like this. Alright, going into my everything ephemera kit that I have here, I'm just going to find a couple of pieces that go in the pockets vertically, and I'm going to go around them with some distress ink again just to finish them, and adding a little hole in the top right corner here with my micro hole punch. And this is where our charm is going to go. So go ahead and grab all of the pieces for that. I'm just going to find a couple that I think sort of match the tag nicely here, some with some like a little bit of blue on them I thought would go well. So once I have those pieces, I'm going to use the micro hole punch to punch a hole in the top portion of those little charms. And the button already has holes, so you can just leave that as is. And using our little ring here, I'm going to start with the largest piece first, so putting that in the back and then getting progressively smaller. You can put as many things as you want. I'm just adding 2 little tags here and a button, keeping it nice and simple. And then you can close this up with your fingers, or you can use like some pliers. And I'm also going over mine with a little bit of distress ink. You might want to do that before putting it on the charm. It's a little bit easier. And then finishing it by adding it to the bulb pin here, just threading the little ring on there like this. And then this is just going to poke right through that hole that we made in that ephemera piece, just like this. Alright, so now that we have that, I'm going to finish it with a little page tab on the top. I think these come from the is it the Cottage? Farmhouse Cottage kit, that's right. Just adding that to the top. And then I also rounded off the corners of my tag on the bottom just because I like the look of it a little bit more. And this is what that looks like when it's all finished. Front and back here, and I didn't decorate the back of my tags. You could print them on decorative paper if you want to. I'm just leaving mine as is for now. And then finding all the pieces I need for the other 2 pockets, I'm just going to assemble them the exact same way. Alright, and this is what those look like when they are completely finished. I'll go ahead and do a little flip through here for you so you can kind of see what I did exactly. I also added some like scrap little words that I cut out from ephemera pieces onto the page tabs. That's optional, you don't have to do that. I just decided to make them look a little bit more put together. And I went ahead and stuck to my color scheme. Of course, you don't have to do that. You can add whatever pieces you want. You could even do more decorating, add some lace to the bottom of it, or, you know, really stuff those pockets full. That's entirely up to you. And for the pieces themselves, you can give them away as gifts, or you could put them in a journal, glue them down, use Velcro to hold them down so they're removable. You could use a paper clip and like paper clip it to the edge so it's removable if you'd like. You could even tuck it into a pocket. You might have to trim it down a little bit, either shorter or thinner depending on the size of your pocket or the size of your journal, but it is something you could do. Alright, so that is going to finish today's video. I hope you got some inspiration, and I can't wait to see what you guys make for our June journal prompts project. So make sure you share those on Facebook, and we'll see you next time. Bye!